Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. This is the first leaked image for the DLC 1 Black Ops 7 Zombies map, Astra Malorum, and yes, I'm kind of being serious. Alongside that story, we're talking about some other bombshell news today, such as the fact that GTA 6 has been delayed again. We've got main quest Easter egg details for Ashes of the Damned. The games industry is suffering from even more mass layoffs, and we've even got some Naughty Dog news in there as well. So let's start with Grand Theft Auto 6, which was meant to be releasing this year, and then it got pushed back to next year, midway through the year, and it's finally been pushed back to November 19th, 2026. I think a lot of people in the last couple of months have suspected this might be the case because we've really seen very little marketing hype building over these last couple of months for the game. And honestly, this just means that there's more room for people to make jokes like this. Like, this was always going to be the case. I'm 34, please hurry up. And part of me also wonders if this just means that they're going to have more likelihood of charging $100 for the game because it's going to be incredibly polished by then. Who knows? I'm sure a lot of you guys would be really mad if they did make it $100, but I think they could get away with it because it's Rockstar, so we'll see. Now, some not so good news about the game is that there's this story on Insider Gaming about how there have been workers fired to prevent a union forming. This is all alleged, so I'm taking this with a definite grain of salt, but the report says dozens of Rockstar Games employees were fired for misconduct in a wave that might have been a twisted form of union busting. Now, this isn't the first time that this has happened in the games industry by any means. I've actually heard a recent report from one of my own sources about a similar thing that's happened at a different studio in the last couple of years that was very shady sounding. And in this instance, it's a report from Jason Schreier, who's very reputable, who claims that 30 to 40 Rockstar Games employees in the UK and Canada were terminated, and they were allegedly all part of a private trade union chat on Discord. However, to give both sides of the story, Take-Two refuted the claims and said that it was actually because of gross misconduct. And so it's sort of one party's word versus another here. Was there some kind of gross misconduct involved, or was it due to this private Discord chat? Hard to say from the outside, but certainly not a great look alongside the delay happening around the same time. Now next, I just wanted to cover this very briefly. This news story has kind of come and gone. There was a massive swirl of people saying that the Black Ops 7 campaign and Zombies was going to release 4 days early. We had things like preloads for Zombies and campaign that were going to be releasing on November 10th. We had all sorts of leakers saying, yep, I actually think that this is happening. We had Ghost of Hope, for example, saying, I think this is getting more likely. I think at one point he put it at about a 20% chance. And I consistently, this entire time, have said this isn't happening. Like, I've said that there is just zero world that this happens, and the reason that this has been so clear in my mind is that Call of Duty spends hundreds of millions of dollars marketing its game each year, and that marketing plan gets set in stone in many ways, months and sometimes years in advance. And so what would happen if they shadow dropped campaign and Zombies early without anyone knowing, as close as a week leading up to the release of the game? It would just mean that all of those hundreds of millions of dollars that they'd been putting into that original release date would have been outdated. Like, it just didn't really make sense because there was also no real upside to them doing it. Now, had it been the plan all along and they announced this 2 months ago, then yeah, it would have been a massive way to drive pre-orders because it could have been pre-orders to get early access or something along those lines. But it's not been like that, so there's no upside for Call of Duty. It doesn't increase shareholder value, right? And as such, I've sort of written these off myself this entire time, but I've been reporting on it just because there's been lots of sources saying it. But I wanted to give you guys my 2 cents on that, and the story continues to be that it is not launching early. It will be launching on the 14th. Now next, this is a quick one. Apparently, new Naughty Dog job listings reveal that they've started quality assurance and localization for Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet. This usually occurs at the end of development. It may be releasing sooner than expected. I'm very excited for this game. I know that Naughty Dog has a contentious sort of standing in the online gaming community. Some people are massive, massive fans. Other people very critical of Naughty Dog, but I personally love their games and I'm very excited to see more Intergalactic. I will say I wouldn't just assume from the hiring of QA or something like this that means that we're going to be seeing the game in the next 6 months or something. Like, let's hold our horses, right? I think that something that we've seen across the games industry in the last maybe 6 months or so is we have seen a lot of Sony first party and partner studios really just putting their foot on the gas in a big way. And I think that this comes from the fact that Microsoft have acquired Activision now, and so Sony is probably trying to evaluate what its position is going to be going into its next actual full console release cycle in probably 2027. I think that the pressure is on in that way, and especially so seeing as Microsoft have recently been talking about their next generation console as well. So that is kind of the backdrop to all this. And I suspect that may be why these job listings have been popping up, is because Naughty Dog is preparing for that time when they get there. But for the time being, I would obviously take this individual report with a grain of salt. I think it's still going to be some time. So next we've got Treyarch talking about the Ashes of the Damned main quest. I actually tweeted them like 10 days ago being like, guys, it's that time again. I do this every year. It would be really good if you could confirm when the main quest is going to launch, because people need to book time off work. People need to make sure that they've prepared, whether it's they're going to prepare meals in case the Easter egg hunt goes really long, or just generally they need to carve out a little bit of time in their life. That goes for me, and that goes for many of you guys at home as well if you want to participate in the hunt. And thankfully, they have confirmed that it's dropping at basically the exact time that we all predicted, which is 10 a.m. Pacific or 1 p.m. Eastern on Friday, November 14th. Now, this means there will be a New Zealand window where people will be able to play the game, but they will not be able to do the main quest. So we will see a version of Ashes that does not have the main quest enabled, which is always an interesting time in zombies. I'll obviously be streaming it a bunch on the 13th, thanks to New Zealand, but I'll also obviously be streaming the main quest Easter egg hunt and making a no-nonsense guide on the map as well. And that segues me into my next point here, which is that they've said, choose your team carefully. This won't be a walk in the park. And that's exciting. That's really exciting. The idea of there being a difficult main quest, yes, I need it. I've been saying to Treyarch for so long. In fact, I said it to Kevin Drew himself when I was at Treyarch a couple of months ago. I said, Kevin, for goodness sake, man, make the Easter egg quests last longer. Okay, I didn't say it in those words, but I encouraged him. I said, quests lasting longer is a really good thing for the health of the game. It's really, really good. And I'm hopeful that the team have taken that on board. Now, I will say, and I'm going to go full screen cam for this because this is important. There's a difference between difficulty that's a load of bollocks and difficulty that is fun, right? And I know I've been saying this for years, but things like random part spawns, okay, dreadful in my opinion. I will stand on this business until the day I die. I've been saying it since Black Ops 3. It's been over a decade since Black Ops 3 came out now, and I'm still going off about this. There is something so incredibly annoying about your barrier to Easter egg completion being not able to remember a randomized part spawn. It's just bad design, in my opinion. So I'm hopeful that there's not tons of this in Ashes, and if there is, it's just going to mean that the map is just bad, in my opinion. Like, it's going to bring my evaluation of the map down so much. Whereas, if the difficulty comes from requirement of high skill execution and things like that, then is cinema, baby. All right? So, like, things like the bucket in Reckoning, I'm fine with. Okay? I'm fine with obscure steps. That is not the problem. I just don't want bollocks. All right? I don't want nonsense. You understand? Hopefully we're on the same page there. I'm looking forward to it not being a walk in the park. Just don't make me walk all over the park looking for a spoon in the grass for hours, because I can't remember the last time they spawned in that spot. You know what I mean? Next, it's the Black Ops 7 launch trailer. This came out earlier this week. This actually came out on my birthday. I think a lot of people didn't realize it was my birthday. I think one person tweeted me to say happy birthday. You're a real one. But I was obviously out of town, not on the internet at the time. So I came back and saw this. I was like, okay, this is cool. Admittedly, these trailers don't often contain a ton of stuff that is really exciting. It's just sort of these sorts of shots of some action happening. I mean, we're sort of zooming through one of the spaces here. We're seeing a little weird dolphin dive. Actually, you know what? I take it back. I eat my words. This is a cool shot. I really like this visual. Wow, okay. Yeah, seeing the map from above in this way is really nice. I really like the way that they've put that together. This is really nice as well. I'm loving these sort of world shots that have been in not just this trailer, but several of the trailers, actually. I'm a fan. Trailer team, you're cooking. Keep cooking in that way. But yeah, that's the Black Ops 7 launch trailer. It has a pretty minimal amount of zombie stuff in it, though, so I'm not going to dwell on it for too long. Next, we've got this story, which is kind of weird. So Selenus here has noticed the fact that Treyarch shadow unpatched a spawn strat on Reckoning that they'd previously patched and taken out of the game. There was a spawn strat and people were using it, and then Treyarch got rid of it. But that's back now by the sounds of it, and they've also shadow nerfed Uber Klaus. So Uber Klaus now does 5 damage to health instead of 70 and damages armor. And this almost sounds like they've gone so far away from the original damage that the Uber Klaus was doing that it feels like this now might be a bug. Like, Zone is saying maybe it was bugs at launch, but I almost think it might be the other way around. I'm not really sure. Psycho here says he was literally one of the best balanced bosses in the game for how the gameplay system works. So, Treyarch, this may be a bug. I don't know. Maybe let us know in a patch note or something. Next, this is the Black Ops 7 Zombies dedicated crew icon, which I think actually looks really cool. I like this design. The Black Ops 7 preload has started to roll out for PC Battle.net players. So if you want to get that download started, because it's always a hefty download, this is a great time to do it. It will be available on all platforms from November 10th. Then I've seen continued conversation around the HUD in the game and how ugly this is, this blue stain on my screen with the gun. Bro, this is actually one of the worst parts of this. Let me just open this in a new tab real quick. One of the things I don't get about this HUD, right? I don't understand this, and I really hope a UI designer in the comment section can explain this to me. Or honestly, Treyarch, someone from Treyarch, send me an email, bro. I can keep it off record, but I need answers. I actually need to know, why is this gun offset from the center of this circle? I just don't get it. Like, I need to understand. It's actually driving me insane. If we look at this, oh God, hold on. I don't want that. I want light shot. If I do this right here and we draw like, let's say we draw like a box over the circle, right? Like, this is more or less the circle. Notice how if I'm doing this literally by eye, so it's not going to be perfect, but if we more or less divide this like this, look how wonky this is. Like, why? I just don't get it. And like, if it's because other guns, like for example, maybe there's going to be a different gun that has more in the back, and so like actually the gun box for the HUD is like this whole space, and it's just this particular gun that's weird. Like, fair enough to some extent, I get it, but like, center your gun, you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna force this ugly thing into the HUD, at least make it less ugly than this by just centering it, right? There was this other tweet that Stanley posted, and I'm really sorry I don't actually have the original source of who made this. I wonder if there's someone mentioned in the replies here. I'm not sure who made this. I suspect that this has come from Reddit. There was a post going around of another guy that also made one that was really good, but this is just a slightly modified version, right? And it looks significantly better. Like, I love the idea compared to this version where you've got the like tactical and the lethal, and they just look like multiplayer. The idea of those instead being kind of ghostly and ethereal, that's really cool. Like, that's a really cool idea. So yeah, maybe we'll get some updates to the HUDs if we make enough noise. I'm dealing with enough noise as it is right now, so I'll leave that to you guys for the time being. Now, this is a big story. Margot tweeted earlier this week that DLC 1 is not set in Nazi New York City, right? Or anything of the sort, actually. And this rumor came about because we got the original leak of all the DLC maps, like maybe over a year ago now. It's been a really long time. And those maps featured Nazi New York, and they featured Afghanistan, and they featured Vietnam, and etc., and the space station, etc. And then we saw the teasers for Astra Malorum, and we had that projector for planetarium, right? And we were like, oh, okay, well, like, that's going to be the Hayden Planetarium, and it's going to be set in New York, and it's therefore going to be the nuked New York map. Margot then said, not happening, right? And so everyone was like, oh, okay, well, I guess it is the space station then after all. But then, weirdly, Zone tweeted this, right? So it's a quote tweet, and Zone has put, I think this is a Roblox head in the sky with Saturn, the Astra Malorum logo. I guess this is the Griffith Observatory. I think that's its name, maybe? Or maybe it's a different one, but I think that's what it is. With the Wonder Vehicle with rockets on it, and then a red skull. Like, this is the most cryptic thing I've ever seen come from any kind of leak. Very odd. And then 2 days later, today, Hope says Astra Malorum, releasing with Season 1 of Black Ops 7, will be the long-rumored space station map, so it confirms that. It takes place in an observatory atop a skull with a red glow in space. Where do we just see that? Well, the answer is simple. We saw it here. It turns out that Zone wasn't just doing some kind of weird memery. This is apparently a depiction of the map. So does that mean we're going to be getting a wonder vehicle with rockets on it? Are we going to be able to fly through space in the map? That would be insane. Is there going to be a Roblox head in the sky that we're going to talk to? Like a giant head? If so, whoa, I just got like a brainwave. I've seen gameplay of Black Ops 7's campaign, which features you, and they've maybe shown this in trailers, but I don't recall. It features you fighting against a gigantic Michael Rooker. So maybe they've built the technology to have like really massive NPC-like bosses slash characters slash just enemies of some kind. And so maybe that's what this head is going to be. Maybe we're going to be astral projecting and talking to the maker of the great machine. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe. I don't know what the skull is. Why is there an observatory on a skull? Like, what? It's so weird. I've heard from another source the map may have some parts that take place on Earth similar to that of Moon, but it's not something I'm 100% on. The Wonder Vehicle seems to be involved in the overarching story beyond just Ashes. I've also heard that all of the previously leaked Zombies maps, besides the space station map and the Japanese volcano map, were cancelled and replaced. The current plan is still 5 DLC maps, and there's planned to have a remake amongst those. So that's interesting, because admittedly, out of all of those leaked maps, the Japanese volcano map and the space station map are the ones that I'm most excited for. The nuked New York sounded really cool, set in an alternate timeline where Germany won the war. Like, that does sound sick. I can understand why they might have moved away from that. I think the fact that there's planned to be a remake is interesting. I wonder if that's going to be, what would it be? It's not going to be Die Rise, right? Is it going to be Buried? I could see them remaking Buried. I really could see that. So perhaps? But yeah, quite a lot of development in our knowledge of what's coming just from this post alone. And Zone says they call me a madman when he tweeted this, and Hope is so confused about it. So yeah, I guess we are seeing a Wonder Vehicle turning into a Wonder Rocket in this map, and it's going to be set on a giant red skull. Honestly, it sounds like they were all taking some kind of psychedelics, and they came up with the idea, and it stuck. And I kind of love that, because that sounds like the least facility-ass map I've ever heard of. So, bravo. Next, Insomniac and Marvel are going to continue to work together for many years to come, according to Marvel Games boss, because Marvel's Wolverine is set to release in fall 2026. That's good news. I'm looking forward to this game. They put out a trailer for it earlier this year, which I reacted to. It's on my channel. I'm really looking forward to it. I really like the work that Insomniac do with them, so I'm looking forward to them working together for many years to come. And then we've got the Square Enix layoffs, which I mentioned at the start of the video. Square Enix have actually released a statement to the media regarding the layoffs, but didn't clarify the number of people. Their statement says, "We're reorganizing our operations. It was extremely difficult. It was made with careful consideration, etc., etc." It's a much better message, admittedly, than the one that we saw from Ubisoft, I think it was, a couple of weeks ago, which I reported on, which was the most AI slop I've ever seen. It was an awful message. But yeah, the full story here is that IGN's Rebecca Valentine has shared Square Enix is letting go of up to 137 people in the UK, along with an unknown number of people in the United States. And the cuts impact those working in marketing, publishing, business planning, QA, IT, and more. This comes the same day as the company saying it wants to have 70% of its QA and debugging handled by AI by the beginning of 2027. And that's an interesting one, right? Because on the one hand, the thought of being able to use AI to help make sure games are more polished sounds very positive. But the issue is that it's not lack of QA that is the cause for all these games releasing in such broken states. It's the fault of the fact that the QA testers will present a load of bugs to the development team and the development team's leaders, and they will then make the decision and make the call, like the leads of that team will make the call, that those are all DNFs, that they are bugs that they will not fix, and they will ship with them because they do not have time and they're crunched on such a short roadmap and short development schedule. It's basically never the fault of the QA testers themselves not finding bugs. Like, that happens so rarely in comparison, in my experience from talking to devs, to the scenarios where it's actually just because they have to ship with the bugs anyway, even though they know about them, because the development schedule is too tight and it's been produced badly, or it's been led badly, or there's a publisher involved that's calling the shots and is forcing them to work on a timeline that's unrealistic. So it sounds good on the one hand, but I think there's some logistical issues with that, which do also paint a slightly different picture. Finally, I just wanted to say thank you for all the support on my video about this situation that I posted about yesterday. I'm really struggling. I've started all my medications and I have some new issues that are popping up now. There's very loud clicking in my head now whenever I speak. It's going to be an ongoing thing. But like I said in the video, I would really appreciate if we could continue to, from this tweet and from that YouTube video onwards, not talk about it tons, just so I can try to pretend that things are normal. It's gonna mean that I can hopefully make a little bit of progress in learning to live with this, if such a thing is possible. So thank you guys so much for that support, and I will keep trying to fight this. Thanks, folks. I love you all.